Hello again, this is Steven, and we're up for another video. We're gonna see if we can get filled on this this trade. We're looking to enter a long. So we have this previous range right here, this high to this low, and we essentially, let me put it on the right screen. We have this high to the low, and then we had a selling imbalance here, which I think is invalidated now. It's there for a note, and we had a buying imbalance right here where it looks like we bounced off up again and found some more buyers or people taking profit potentially. So this is a trade we're looking to get in, and it looks like we missed it by a tick, and we may miss it altogether. So if we come back up, we pretty much that's going to date, and that already hit our target. But I do think there's more room to the top. So we had a big selling imbalance right here where price dropped swiftly, retraced about halfway, and then continued down. So that's kind of the situation. We have swung up several times. These are 3-minute candles, creating new ranges, and we've retraced back to each range to approximately 50% each time. So I'm planning on that pattern continuing, which it did, but we may have missed our entry by a tick. If I would have put it right on this midline, let me show you inside of this footprint chart where price bounced off of, and it looks like we missed our entry. So this is a footprint chart, and what we were targeting was this zone right here with a double stacked imbalance. So we hit right into that zone where this is where price moved fast up to the top. We had 2 selling contracts, 30, small numbers, but still for this session, sufficient enough. A lot more buying than selling, and price moved all the way up. We had some buying here as well, but price then for some reason moved down. Maybe take profit taking, whatever the case may be. Had some selling imbalances here, which brought the price back down quickly, and now we make our way back up, and it does look like we missed our entry by a tick, but we did have the right idea. So what can we do? Now if we wanted to chase it, I do still think there's opportunity. You can see this trend line, right? It's actually still trending up. So we should actually be moving up still. But we had our entry, which is in Quant Tower, just a tick in the wrong place. So I anticipate this coming back to tap the top of this zone, maybe even this high, or we may get a little bit of a retraction back before it continues up, or retracement. So there's another little imbalance here where these wicks are. Again, this is a 3-minute chart. So that's the situation. This still could come down. Sometimes it taps into it twice before leaving. So we're going to keep our entry here with our stop at the bottom of the zone. and our take profit at the top of the zone, which it looks like we missed it, but a good trade idea nonetheless. We just missed it by a tick, but these happen often trending market. So we'll see what happens. I'm going to go ahead and pause the video, and if anything interesting comes up, we'll continue. All right, as you can see, our I added another VWAP, which is called a VWAP handoff. We are now on the 1 charts. I'll switch back to the 3-minute. And you can see that we wicked out and we would have hit our target, but we missed the entry by a tick. We didn't chase it. We just watched it happen. And that's okay because we stuck to our plan. And hopefully some value was gotten from this video or taken from this video. And now what we're going to look for after a clean bounce off of this little small demand zone, we're going to see if we continue up higher or if we reject again. We've already tapped into this zone 2 times. If we go back, three times, rip through it once. So we've had some history here, but I would say we should just focus on recent history. This was a supply zone. So we're between this supply and demand zone right here. And maybe we range here for a bit before continuing. This was a supply zone here where there was lots of selling pressure back down, or maybe profit taking. Which kind of turned into a demand zone. Look at this demand zone. See it here as well. So this is a key area. I wouldn't be opposed to entering, since we're above these VWAPs here. This is the session VWAP. And this is the recent swing low. Looks like we are staying above it. I would like to see a little bit of a breakdown so that we can maybe buy again if we bounce off of this trend line again and stay above this VWAP that we just created, the handed off VWAP. So I'll pause the video and be back when there's an update. All right, so we're back for a moment. And if we kind of look, we have this pretty clean trend line that we bounced off multiple times as we're slowly stair-stepping up. So if we look, we made higher highs. Oh, let me turn this off. My bad, y'all. Supposedly there's a earthquake near Russia. uh 8.8 earthquake, and there's tsunami waves on their way to places like Hawaii and Japan, I think. So hope everybody's safe. Man, world's crazy right now. So if we kind of look, we're gonna see that we made I guess equal highs here, and these are all equal highs, and then we made a higher high and a higher high, a higher high with the body close, higher high, equal high, lower high, higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low, lower high. So is this an area where we consolidate before deciding what to do next? I'll go ahead and pause and come back when we find out. All right, so we are testing this trend line again. These are Heikin-Ashi candles. As of right now, I tend to enjoy looking at them. So obviously the candles look a little bit different. Just kind of smooth it out and lets you see the trend a little bit better. So it looks like we just got a bounce off of that trend line again. Come back to the Heikin-Ashi candles. And pulling a Bookmap, we're at the first deviation line and testing that on the VWAP session VWAP. Kind of look since opening, we hovered around the session VWAP, tapped into it again, tapped into it a third time, and now we rose up above the first deviation, not once but twice, and now we're testing it for a third time. So looking at the order book, there's about 12 more percent interest to the upside, but there's more buying by what looks to be 7%. So CVD is fairly flat, but still in the positive, and it's been flat since bouncing off of the VWAP once, then retesting it a second time, and then we've been a little bit of aggressive buying up to this sell wall where we lost interest at about 614, and where we've stayed and we haven't been able to get above for quite some time. Either these orders were lifted here at 614, which it kind of looks like, or we broke through them all at approximately 10 o'clock so Eastern time. So it looks like we have some aggressive buyers stepping in here. If we can break through this level, I'd be interested. CVD's getting up to, I'd be interested in taking along here up to about 64.19 to where we have another zone and a little bit more buying volume and more interest in the order book to the top side. We get some aggressive buyers to come in here and take control. We're already in control, but it's like we are increasing our elevation above the first deviation of the VWAP. if we can break through this second deviation, we'll see what happens. So I'll pause for the meantime. Okay, so I decided to jump into a position. I know there's a lot on the screen here, so I'm going to put it into the quant tower just to make it a little bit easier to see. I expect to be in this position for a while. There's no news restrictions on this account. I'm okay holding this thing tonight. So I entered at about 4:15, and the reason why I entered was because we've been slowly and steadily zombie crawling up for quite some time. And I believe we have some resting orders up here at first 6,419 where I plan to take one off. And if I'm awake, I'll move my stop loss into take profit at that point. And if we get stopped out, we just take one contract. That's fine. Second, target is way up here at 629, 630 at this support right here. So that's my second level of interest right now. Basically tapping back into a previous range that we haven't hit yet after we swung all the way down to the bottom here. So that's kind of my anticipation, is that we continue to move up at least to the 619 mark, and ultimately, or excuse me, 6419, ultimately up to 6420. So I'm looking for a significant move. I placed my stop below 605 for the meantime. However, it's more likely that I'm going to put it. Let's go into Bookmap now. I'm going to put it under this 611 level. So we'll just move that up right now. So we'll put it at 6409.50. So I'm actually okay bringing it all the way up to 6411, but for now we're just going to leave it there. Likely move it into break even once we get to 619. So that's kind of the plan. Going back into TradingView. I know it's a little bit sloppy here, so we're going to back out here so we can see a longer term view. So here's kind of what I'm thinking. I looked at this quite a bit. Obviously, the more you look at something, you'll be able to see whatever you want. But on Friday at 4 p.m., we started basically moving up. And this was Eastern time. So at the end of the day. And then we opened up so we took basically, excuse me, not Friday at 4 p.m., 4 a.m. We started this range and we could really start it right here. And we started to crawl up, and throughout the entire day, we continued to move up. Then we gapped all the way up, which I'm considering this one huge range, right? From the swing low to the swing high. Then we retraced about 80% of it. Then we retraced to about 30% from the top. And then we came down and left the range. And I believe that we're going to come back to about 50% of the range, which is at 64.29. Now we look at 64.29. I'm going to remove this box now so we can see a little bit better. We're zoomed out on the 5-minute. We're going to see we have this line right here where we had some resistance, bounced off of it, kind of broke through, bounced off it again, broke through it, bounced off of it. So I think this is a significant level where we return to, and it just happens to be at the 50% range of this large zone that I drew out. Now I also drew out some different zones that haven't been fully mitigated yet. But I think the most likely thing to happen is for us to come back up before we decide whether or not we go to the bottom or move back up to break all-time highs. Now the thing is tomorrow's FOMC. We did break above or below this long-term anchored VWAP from the 25th, this Wednesday morning. So this is like the Wednesday morning New York Open. And we came back to it, retested it, came back to it. We're kind of going back and forth. We broke above it again. And I believe that we're going to continue up to that white line. So the idea is to continue to move up. And the reason why I put my stop where I did, right, wrong, or indifferent, is that I want to give it a little bit of room. We could see it retrace back down to 6,411, which I sure hope it doesn't, because the way it's been crawling, it's just slowly working its way up. And there is a lot more order book interest to the top side, and volume has been pretty equal, maybe a little bit more buy side volume. So that kind of is in line as well. And our cumulative volume delta isn't extremely high, but it's still in the positive. So all of those being said, I'm confident with this setup that we're going to continue to move up. Yes, I could definitely be wrong, but we want to kind of protect ourselves below this low right here on the Bookmap at around let me get my cursor up there so y'all can see it, at around 64.10 here. So we kind of want to stay below here. We definitely could clear this low before moving higher and retest this VWAP again. But we seem to be moving farther and farther away from the VWAP, and we're through the first deviation, and now we're testing the second deviation. We could reject hard here, but I believe that we're going to continue to move up, and we are outside of the value range. And long term, we are a little bit more bearish. Short term, we had a pullback, but I feel like this is a pretty good setup to continue long. So I'm going to pause this. We'll see what happens later. And yeah, I'll check in with you in a bit. Okay, so a little correction to the analysis. Instead of having the TP1 at 6119, I do think we come back here. And it does look like an area where we've tested before. We have some resistance. But we have a lot of interest up here to the top on Bookmap. And I feel like we're going to kind of come up and grab all of these orders. And continue up. And here's our 6430. I think that is kind of the end of the road right there. So I kind of think we come up and break through these orders and take 6429. So first TP is around that 6423 level around here. Second TP is at this 6429 level. All right, so the London session opened and we are in a position. We actually stopped out one contract down here at the stop loss. For some reason, I guess I only put my stop loss for one contract. So a little error there. I decided to just hold on to the second contract at 604-ish because it's where another wall was. I was going to give it another opportunity after the open, after waking up from my nap here. And then we saw some aggressive buyers step in. And once we got back up to this 410 area, I opened up another contract. And we're kind of in a position now where we are trying to hold this red VWAP line after coming above it. And we're trying to see if we can push back up to where I originally intended to push back up to, which is these two white lines, or these two white lines that we see above. So we are essentially right in a VWAP area. Could go either way, but we did see a nice little rejection down below around 405, and price is now hanging out at around 410.75, and we're looking to go up to 419 or 423, excuse me, all the way up to 430. Let's go back to Bookmap. All the way up here to 429 is our target, and 419 is our first target. We do see aggressive buyers are stepping in, taking the price back up. I believe our entry is around 614. Take a quick look. Yeah, 612. So we're near our original entry, and we're looking to take that all the way back. Our entry is right here at 612, where there's a few orders lined up, but the big orders are up here, 620 to 622. So we did take a little bit of an L. If we go to Quant Tower, let's see what we lost on that first position, just for record keeping purposes. Looks like 32.50, not counting the fees to get back in. So we're down 32.50 on this trade. And in the earlier trade where we pretty much chopped and ended up down 7.50, so it's about 39.50 on the day. Now we're back above VWAP, session VWAP. If we can hold this and push, we should be in good shape. So I'm going to pause the video and we'll see what happens. Okay, the trade is promising. Lots of aggressive buying since we swept this previous low, bounced off the second VWAP deviation, came back over the session VWAP, bounced off of that, absorbed the selling pressure, and continued higher, where we still continue to get buying pressure. So that's our update. We're going to evaluate, and as we get closer to this, if we get closer to this 64.17, we'll evaluate whether we want to take a contract off or continue to hold until we get up to this 620. I think that's a better target for the first contract, and ultimately 629 for both contracts, which at that point we may actually be looking for a short back down. Pause the video until the next update. All right, so quite a bit of time has passed, and we are now New York session, approximately 12:35 Eastern time on FOMC day. So looking back, we'll look at the TradingView, but just the current situation, we had a long grind up from about 11:30 a.m. Eastern. Prior to that, there was a double break of both sides of the initial balance and the opening range, I believe, which we'll take a look at. But price went all the way up to 64.20. This is the second time it's come up to this level. And then now we're consolidating kind of between these walls of buyers and sellers. And that's kind of this current situation. CVD is up about 1900 from the, I believe it's from the, let me double check. I think this is the overnight session. So session CVD, let me double check this and make sure the volume profile and everything is set up. I'm sure that's where it starts the session from. I'll have to double check that, but I'm pretty sure that's where we're getting these numbers from. It's the same thing with the order book. So it should be coming from the session start time. So that's our situation. We did jump out of the trade early, and we actually had some action in it. So I'm going to bring up TradingView. So moving back a little bit, we have this area right here where it's pretty dim and it's locked, but you can, or unlocked, but you can see originally we had our stop set down here at about 6406 zone, and we woke up from our nap and price was moving up, and we decided to add on once we this level right here. Once we got that bounce, we decided to add one contract in, and we started to watch it, and what we saw was price bounced off and rejected heavy, came back up, and I got out of the trade right here at about 416 in profit. We did take one off once we got back to profit, picking up a little bit of profit there as well. And our original target was way up here. We did bounce off again this 420 twice now, where this is a longer term VWAP from an all-time swing high, which I think that's the most important one right now. We're retesting it again. It is FOMC day, so I'm not in a rush to get involved. My first thought is we created some of these zones that I talked about earlier in the video that came from the footprint chart where there were some imbalances. There was more buying pressure, so we hit that zone, absorbed it. So that's out of play. We hit the next zone and bounced off of it and just rejected up. This would have been a great trade, but I was in bed, so we just missed it.
So I anticipate us coming back down to this next zone if we come back down, and we may try to get into a long from this position, and we may still try to get into a short, or we may just wait till the evening session after FOMC news. So that's kind of the update coming into Quant Tower. We'll just take a quick look at our balance, and then we'll close this video out, and we'll wait for the next trade. So from Quant Tower, we have our list of trades. Now the trade number on here is a lot higher because we're copy trading. But you can see we got out 64.15.75. Oh, that's the first one. Okay. So we had 16.25 in profit and then 28.75 in profit. Approximately 38 and 6. So 44.50-ish, and then minus fees. And then in our last video, we did take a loss. So these were, or maybe it was still this video. I don't know at this point. It's a running log, but we're essentially, this is where the day starts, or the overnight session. 12.50 in the negative, so that equals what, minus 750. Then that's right. We took a one contract loss when it hit our stop. We stayed in the trade. Then we added to it for a total of 3 contracts, running back up to the 416. And then so we essentially regained our, you look at our 12.50 and our 32.50, that's essentially, we're back to break even after our 28.75 and our 16.25. So pretty much a wash, but better than a big fat loss. So happy with the way things panned out, even though they didn't go how I expected them to. Looking back at TradingView to finish out the video, I do like the fact that price is reacting to these levels and coming back to where I marked these stacked imbalances, as well as at the top. So I think I have a pretty good strategy for where to look to get enter. However, we could still hit this TP1 and TP2 if we can break through this VWAP, yellow VWAP line again. So until next time, happy trading.